right.
This is new. New feature. Hey, you guys, thank you for bearing with us as we get ready for our live show. We've got Nigel here, Swaby, right? I said it right?
No.
I didn't?
Swaby.
Swaby. I said the first name right.
You said the first name right.
See,
yeah.
I didn't get any credit for that. Nigel Swaby, right?
Yes.
Remember that when you go to the polls?
Yes, November 2nd.
November 2nd. November 2nd.
Or mail-in ballots arrive October 15th.
That's just a starter. Remember that, right?
Yes.
Even though we haven't talked about what, if you like the guy or not, but at least you remember the name if you don't know. A lot of people vote that way.
I know that.
They're like, this name's easy. I'll vote for him.
And it's unique.
John Smith.
There are no other Nigels.
There are no other
Certainly
Nigels.
no other Nigels in my race.
I don't think I've ever said Nigel.
You
before.
have.
No. Pretty sure. Otherwise I wouldn't struggle so much with it.
No, you struggle with my last name, not my first name.
Oh, okay. Good.
People normally get that one right, but I've been called a niggle before.
Niggle, that's funny.
Yes, yeah.
Nigel Swaby.
Swaby.
Nigel Swaby. He's going to be talking about why he's running and his points of view, his platform on running for city council in Salt Lake City on the UltraPerfom show, where you're watching or listening to live right now. And he's in District 2, right?
Yes.
District 2. See, I remembered. I'm in District 5, right?
That is correct.
So, he's going to be talking about different things about it, but what we want to know is why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because it's not easy. I did it like we talked about this before the show and before.
Right.
I applied for a position. I like how you call it. I ran for a position. I ran for the position. And for the moment I did it, it was difficult dealing with so many people. Like you asked me hard questions. I was like, I don't know. But I'm hoping that the fact I don't know would actually bring some benefit to it.
So
why are you doing this?
So the reason I'm running is because I grew up in that area. And District 2, just to provide some context, is on the west side of Salt Lake. It's part of 84116. So Fairpark and then Glendale and Poplar Grove, which are 84104. It's a large district, and then it goes far west, all the way to 7200 West.
Wow.
But once you get past Redwood Road, there aren't very many residences or voters, but it's definitely a big district. A lot of industry. The inland port is out there. And even the prison. The new prison. So the reason I'm running is I grew up there. I recognize those inequities that we've lived with for my entire life. And over the last 6 years, I've been very involved in my community. I'm currently chair of the Fairpark Community Council. I've been involved with some of the pushback against the inland port. I've been serving on city boards like the Police Civilian Review Board, and the opportunity arose, and I said, I really have to take this and go for it.
What is the Police Civilian Board?
So that is
that in every area of different cities? If someone wants to get involved?
So it's one of the many boards and commissions that Salt Lake City has, but when there's an officer-involved shooting, no matter what,
sounds like
it's going to go through the Civilian Review Board, and there's that was really educational in learning how those investigations are conducted, what the checks and balances are for officers, and if there are complaints, they may go through the Civilian Review Board as well. Like the Nurse Wubbles case up at the University of Utah a few years ago. That was University Police, not Salt Lake PD. But it still went, since it was in Salt Lake City, it went through there. And there was no shooting involved, but there was definitely a complaint, and they'll investigate that as well.
Interesting. So that's a big deal, it sounds like.
It is a big deal, yes.
He's like, it is a big deal. Thank you, it is a big deal. So, but you wanted to better but why are you doing it like for your area? You don't have to do it. You said you jumped on the opportunity, you're on different boards, but what's the deeper reason for you actually applying yourself and doing something?
Well, city council
It's
is
not an easy job.
yeah.
It's
City
not.
city council is a more powerful position in that they have the power of the purse with budgets in Salt Lake City, and when any committee or council that I serve on, I mean, there's a lot of good work that gets done. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, what you're providing is a recommendation. On city council, if you can get your agenda through, then that becomes city code, which is a lot more important and a lot more meaningful.
Yeah, I see that. The city council weighs in on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Does it weigh in on parking?
Yes.
I hate how they are about parking now. They're crazy now. They are crazy. Seriously.
But hey, in what way?
It's like $45 for an expired meter.
Oh, yeah, that.
I mean, there's things like that. Like, come on, you guys. That's not getting people downtown.
Well, they didn't have any revenue last year. They didn't do any
I
enforcement, and now
they
now
doubled their rates.
Yeah,
let's make up. Let's get at them a couple times.
Yeah, it's.
I've had other people complain.
But parking is probably one of the biggest issues that any city in this country has right now, especially Salt Lake, where we don't have public transit built out as much as we should. I love the idea.
I don't think so. It seems like we have so much
downtown.
But I don't use it.
You don't use it. Yeah,
I don't even use it though.
Yeah,
because I like getting in my car and driving and getting a parking ticket. No, I don't always get a parking ticket. Obviously, that'd be expensive. Like, okay, well, I paid all my bills, but I still owe the city $1,000 in parking tickets.
Well, the other reason that they do that to enforce it is to get people to public transit. Or that's why parking, like this coming weekend, is the busiest weekend in Salt Lake City.
Because of the fair.
Because of the fair.
The Utah State Fair is this weekend for 10 days, from Thursday to
it starts tomorrow.
To next Sunday. I know how long the fair is.
Also Greek Festival.
The Greek Festival.
Yes.
Yeah,
and every other event that normally happens in Salt Lake, you'll have the farmers market at Pioneer Park. You'll have all these things. So it will cost you $20 to park for a night this weekend. Or you can take public transit. Or you can take a scooter. A lot cheaper.
Scooters
I finally got to ride one at the Fairpark. Oh yeah, they're amazing. I will do that again.
The pricing on the scooter is like in between. It's like maybe a little lower than Uber. Depends how far you go.
It's less than $45, right?
It is less than $45, but I don't get a ticket every time I go park. So let's get actually to some meaty stuff. Public safety. We wrote down a few things he wants to discuss on his platform, right?
Yes.
And you feel they're the most important things in the city right now, right?
It is, at least for District 2. Well, parking affects some of these other things. It's definitely a consideration when you're doing policy on these items. But public safety, the motel by my house, the guy that works there was stabbed last night. He's in the hospital right now in critical condition. And they arrested the assailant, but he's already out. I called the owner this morning.
They released him, though. So did they take him to jail and then they let him out?
Yes.
So they processed him, took him to jail. Why did they let him out?
Because we went through bail reform in the legislature a couple years ago. And I don't know what he was charged with, so I'm not going to speak as to whether he was charged properly or not. But regardless, most felonies in Utah, the bail has been drastically reduced. So some of these drug dealers that get picked up, they're out a few hours later on a $100 bail for felony charges. Yes.
Wow, if you can afford that as a drug dealer, you're a pretty crappy drug dealer.
They get picked up with thousands of dollars of cash on them, and so that's not a big deal. And you can do that over and over again if you don't have to stay in jail. You have these charges that line up. We've talked to the district attorney about identifying, we call them apex predators. You know, they're the ones that are the repeat offenders over and over again that are serious. Yeah.
Interesting. So what would you do to fix that? How would you fix
so it? We have a systemic problem in that we have a city that's growing at 8%, and we have a police force that has been reduced over the last several years either by transfers to other departments or retirements, or people quitting and getting out of law enforcement altogether, that far exceeds that 8%. So we're behind on police, and we need to replace them. In Salt Lake City, it's 9 months to go through training before you get a class out. And then it's another 9 months while they gain experience on the streets before they can go out on their own. So it's a lengthy process. It's costly as well. So we have to make sure to retain the officers we have, and part of that is going to be through compensation. Part of that is going to be towards just a positive attitude towards them. There's been some issues over the last year where government officials have said things that have not been positive, and they don't feel supported. And that's something that we need to work on as elected officials, is that we support the people that work for us. The second thing that we need to do is expand the ambassador program. They're working in my area on North Temple right now. They also work downtown. They're the yellow shirts that you see, and they provide aid to the homeless. They also provide security for business owners and travelers, and you can ask them directions. And they have a completely different approach to some of the panhandling and vagrancy issues that we have in Salt Lake. And if they run into problems, then they can call police. It gets more people on the street. A lot of this is about activating properties